Hello and welcome to the Teaching Your Toddler Canada episode. This episode is all about Canada and things from Canada, our neighbors to the north here in the United States. So I welcome you to our Canada show.
Welcome to the Teaching Your Toddler show with Marijo Tinlin. Each show we talk about fun activities to do with your little one, including a craft, a letter of the week, Spanish words, songs, games, and even a snack for each weekly theme. Here is your hostess, Marijo Tinlin.
Hello, this is Marijo Tinlin, and I'm your host for the Teaching Your Toddler podcast. Today's episode is all about Canada. I picked Canada for a couple of different reasons. First of all, we have a really large listenership that is in Canada, so I appreciate you all listening from Canada. Thank you, and welcome to the show. Also, I am recording this in May. And May is actually when Canadians celebrate the day called Victoria Day. It's named after England's Queen Victoria, who lived from 1837 to 1901, and it celebrates her birthday. So this week we're going to work on a fun handprint Canadian flag. We're going to sing some Canadian children's songs. We're going to talk about Winnie the Pooh. Maybe you didn't know that they were from Canada, and much, much more. And I'm not sure, I need to research this a little bit, but according to what I read, the Atlantic provinces of Canada don't necessarily recognize Victoria Day. So I'm going to ask my friend who is Canadian and see what he says about that. But we will still talk a little bit about Victoria today as well, because even though they may not celebrate it, she's still important. She's on their currency. It did have a lot to do with their founding, was their backing, I guess, by Britain. The letter of the week this week, of course, is V for Victoria. Point out things that start with V for your child. Vase, vacuum, van. Even though they're not reading, they're still listening. They're still learning. They're absorbing. Their brains are just like sponges for language. So again, even though they don't know how to draw a V, you can teach them. You can even do it with, your fingers. You can use their hand and draw a V on a piece of paper or in the dirt or in the sandbox. If you're in the bathtub, you can use those letters or refrigerator letters or whatever you need to use to help them learn the letters. So that's really important. The number of the week is a little bit bigger than normal, but it's 24 because that's the birthday. And you can show somebody 24 things at a time, which is not, just to remind you, that's 2 dozen. So if you had 2 dozen eggs, you could show them 2 boxes of eggs. You can just continue to count. And again, they're not necessarily going to follow what you're doing, but that pattern that you're putting in their brain is exactly what they need for their development. So don't forget to always be counting everything that's around you, even if it's not 24. Just count stuff, because that's the beginning of math for them. The song of the week is a link to a whole bunch of fun Canadian kids songs. So they're all supposed to be from Canada, apparently. Some of them might be familiar to you and some of them might be new. So check those out because they're really, really fun. The story of the week is Winnie the Pooh. So A.A. Milne, the writer of Winnie the Pooh, his son Christopher, maybe you remember him from the story, was fascinated by a bear at the zoo named Winnie, who came from Winnipeg, Canada. So there's the connection of Canada to Winnie the Pooh. I'm sure if you don't have your own copies of Winnie the Pooh, you can find them at the library. They are basically, there's a lot of poetry that goes along with it, and then there's also the book. So I hope you'll check that out. The snack of the week are some Canadian snacks that I found linked to. So, and of course, all these links are in the show notes, which is basically the website page, teachingyourtoddler.com/Canada. That's where you can find all the different things that we talk about. But I will leave that in the show notes for you to go directly there. You can find these Canadian snacks. Really interesting. The Spanish word of the week is maple, is arco. Leaf is la hoja, beaver is el castor, and north, which is north of us, is norte. So hopefully you can check those out. I have a link there to a website called 123 Teach Me, which is a really good resource for Spanish. It's got all kinds of verb conjugators and pronunciations and everything if you are not a native speaker of Spanish, or even if you didn't have any Spanish in school yourself. It will help you. Do it myself, and we always try to do it. I do it myself every episode because it teaches our kids how to build confidence, how to know what they can do on their own. It helps mom and dad step back a little bit sometimes because we get a little bit like we want to do everything for them, especially if they're your first child. But let them do things for themselves. They can identify red and white is our do it myself for the week. So start with one color and just show them everything that's red. Talk about it. Red. This is red. Honey, what color do you see here? And see if they start to react. And then do the same with white. You can do this with all the colors, of course, but red and white happen to be the same color that is on the Canadian flag, which I will have a picture on the website. The activity of the week is a handprint Canadian flag. One of my favorite websites for kids is called No Time for Flashcards. She does all kinds of great projects, and she has great pictures. And so check this out. It's the most adorable little flag with a handprint in the middle. And you guys know, if you listen to this show enough, I am a total sucker for handprint stuff. Everything that's handprint. Now that my kids are older, I just love and treasure everything from when they were small with their handprints. I keep anything that has a handprint. So definitely try this fun activity for Canada. The yoga pose of the week is leaf, which is because of the maple leaf that's on the Canadian flag. Leaf pose is a really restful pose. It's a really wonderful one when, to stretch out your back, to kind of just relax, to breathe deep. And it's wonderful. It's hard to do yoga poses on a podcast, just like it's hard to do our next section, the sign language section. So please check out the show notes for these links, because you can find out how to say Canada, leaf, beaver, and queen in sign language, which are great Canadian concepts, I guess. And they're really fun. The thing that I always say about our sign language section is sign language is a wonderful, wonderful way for your child to learn about how to communicate, because sign language is actually considered a second language. So it's just like if you were teaching them Spanish or French or whatever, that does teach them a little bit more about their language development, and it helps them communicate. If they are pre-verbal or just learning how to speak, using some sign language can really build their confidence, and also helps to cut down on their frustration levels. I taught my children sign language when they were small, and they really responded well to it. And it also, we even still use some of the signs today just for fun. They're fun if you're not going to even learn all of sign language. So check those out, please. I just have a little bit more bonus content here about Victoria Day. So it falls on the second to last Monday in May, which is usually the third weekend, but sometimes it can be the fourth. And so it's always the weekend sort of preceding Memorial Day in the United States. Some of the cities have fireworks for that evening. The day does officially celebrate Queen Victoria's birthday. It was first observed in Ontario, which was at that point called Canada West, in 1845 to celebrate Queen Victoria's birthday. And again, she was born in 1837 and died in 1901. After she passed, there was an act that was passed by Parliament in Canada to legalize the holiday on May 24th in some years, and then also they moved it if it fell on a Sunday. The amendment in 1952 established the celebration of Victoria Day, and it basically gave people a long weekend. And so it's kind of a fun day. It's also called sometimes the Queen's Birthday, Empire Day, or Commonwealth Day. The holiday was named, it was changed to Empire Day in the 1890s because of the British Empire. That's what they were called, of course. And then in the middle of the 20th century, the Empire had given way to the Commonwealth, so it became known as the Commonwealth Day. In the 1977, Commonwealth Day was moved to the second Monday in March, and Canadians continued to celebrate Victoria Day in May, so they split apart at that point. In Quebec, since 2003, it's been known as the National Patriots Day in order to honor the rebellion against Britain in 1837. Before 2003 in Quebec, it was known as La Fête des Dollards, and I'm so sorry. I'm sure I said that wrong. That was in honor of a 17th century soldier named Adam Dollard de Ormeaux. And again, I'm so sorry, but I don't speak French. So I'm sorry about that. But I hope that this was a little bit more interesting information for you about Canada and some fun activities to do for, again, our Canadian neighbors as well as our American neighbors who love our neighbors to the north. So I hope this was fun. Please remember to give your child a huge hug, tell them you love them, and have a wonderful week. Keep teaching. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us for the Teaching Your Toddler Show with Marijo Tinlin. We hope you had some fun and you got some great ideas for the week. Please subscribe to the podcast, like us on Facebook, and visit the website for all the links we discussed at www.teachingyourtoddler.com. This has been the Teaching Your Toddler Show with Marijo Tinlin. Until next time, keep teaching.